Welcome to Selective Hearing Radio, episode number 63. Tonight, we'll be having a conversation about the 2025 STAYC tour, Stay Tuned, and we'll be discussing our thoughts regarding STAYC and their second world tour. My name is Ellis Tan, aka Ping, and I'll be guest hosting tonight's episode. You may have heard me previously guesting on this podcast, as well as on the DMZ podcast, Diaries of an MZ Generation. Alongside me tonight on the show is my dear friend Allen, aka Takeo Ray. Hey Allen, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing tonight?
I'm hanging in there. Still feeling a little bit under the weather since the end of the tour, but fighting through it and recording this podcast because we got to get it out there.
Yeah. It's always tough when you come back from multiple shows and your body's just readjusting back to normalcy and normal life again, huh?
Yeah. But otherwise, what have you been up to?
It's been a busy last couple of weeks for myself personally. Just getting out to Dallas, getting everything covered. Enjoying STAYC. I went on vacation up in Boston to see my family, as well as see STAYC up there as well. So ever since I got back, I've been just a bunch of random errands and interviews and stuff. But all in all, it's looking pretty good.
All right, that's great to hear. And as always, we have to discuss on this show. What are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking. Let me see here. It's Suntory vodka seltzer. I've had this for a little bit. I usually get like the multiple flavors pack, but right now I have the lemon version, and I have been drinking during the Dodgers Blue Jays game that just ended. So, and now we're doing the show, so cheers to that. At least it wasn't an 18-inning, 6.5-hour game like the previous night, right?
Yeah, that was a crazy marathon. I think it ended around like 2:30 a.m. or almost 3 a.m. On the East Coast.
Yeah, it was an awesome game. And then this one was just like over in like 2.5 hours. I'm like, oh my God, that was super fast.
Yeah. As for me, I am still recovering physically, mentally, emotionally from the tour. So I am sticking with good old water, agua, as I frequently do on the show while we're recording.
There's always somebody that has water on hand or is always maining water while the rest of us are, taking in the inebriation, I guess.
I mean, I generally like to have a drink with you guys during this podcast, but yeah, I really need to recover.
Yeah.
So today or tonight, I am guest hosting this podcast episode because for those of you who may not know, I am a very large SWITH or Big STAYC fan, and I've been a fan of theirs since debut. On the other hand, our friend Allen here is more of I guess I could say a casual fan.
Yeah.
Is that safe to say?
Yeah. I mean, STAYC's probably my pandemic group. When they were debuting, I think like aespa had debuted, and I think Weekly also debuted around that time. And I think STAYC and their songs, like So Bad when it came out, I think that spoke more to me than the other groups that came out. So I'm not like in the fan clubs or anything, but I will watch like their YouTube channel and their videos here and there. But I would say I'm pretty okay. I think I'm pretty good. Casual, yeah, because I have other groups that I like. But as far as STAYC goes, man, this will be, I've already seen them 3 times, so that's already more than some of the other groups I've seen. So, but yeah.
Where have you seen them before?
So before, I saw them on the Teen Fresh tour in Los Angeles with you guys. That was my first time to see them. And then I had 2 stops this past year with the current tour. But I've seen like their videos and things. I actually just realized one of the YouTube videos where they talk about creating like it was like a YouTube original where they were talking about creating K-pop groups. And I remember watching this like 4 or 5 years ago, and then it came up in my feed very recently, about a couple months ago, and I was watching it again, and I realized, holy crap, the group that they're doing the selections for and everything is STAYC. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, why did I not put that together? So I've kind of like always had a fondness for STAYC. I have my favorite, I have my bias and everything like that. So that's how it really rolled.
Yeah, so you could say you're maybe like one step above a casual fan because you have seen them multiple times. You do know the members, you know the songs, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So personally, for me, I got into STAYC right around debut time, 2020. I guess it was around November, the beginning of November or end of October, where the YouTube channel One Decay would come out with these videos showcasing the new group that was coming out at the time. It was STAYC, and they had just a bunch of like cover songs and things like that. A bunch of videos with STAYC related content, and they did that frequently back then. I don't know if they still do that now. I don't think I've personally seen a lot of those types of videos recently. But yeah, that's how I started getting into STAYC. I guess it was around the time when ASAP came out that STAYC really shot up for me. When STAYC debuted with the song So Bad, they already were a group that I was considering to be one of my favorite groups just because I really enjoyed how they performed, how they sang, all the different vocal colors that the members had, and just how the song just felt like it didn't feel like a debut group. It didn't feel like a brand new group. It felt like they were pretty seasoned, even though they were still rookies. And then when the song ASAP came out, I just thought that it was such a great hit. I couldn't get enough of it. It was very addictive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until Run to You came out in, I believe, February of 2022. And we were actually in New York together at the time because we were seeing Twice at one of their concerts. And I was just like, man, this song is amazing. And pretty much almost alt status for me at that point. I did end up seeing them at the KCON premiere in Chicago and seeing them perform for the first time in person with my own eyes. I realized like this is the group, this is my group, this is the group that I need to follow. It just they resonated so much within me, and just like their style, their performance, their singing, their music, there's everything about it. Had not experienced a group in the past, a K-pop group in the past that I could really connect with on that type of level and appreciate on that type of level. And yeah, since then, the rest is history. We actually talked about the Teen Fresh tour on this podcast on, I believe it was episode 59 with the episode title Smells Like Teen Fresh Spirit. Go check that out if you haven't listened to it already, where we discussed STAYC's first tour.
There's something about STAYC that I have just great fond memories of, like you said, ASAP. ASAP was just super addicting. It wasn't like a heavy-handed song for me, and I was like, I love the chorus and everything. I love the arm dance that they do. I was doing the arm dance. I was like, oh, this is easy. Stereotype hit me good as well. Run to You, I will always remember that because when you picked me up from the airport in New York, we were listening to it. And I was like, all right, this is great. This sounds awesome. And it was always in the back of my mind. I was very much like heavy, ready to see Twice. I was like, okay, it's got to be all Twice this weekend. It's going to be awesome to see them. But I'll always have that fond memory of like hitting New York, getting in the car, turning on music, and it was Run to You. And I was like, Run to You.
Yeah, we were going to go see Twice, but I was playing a lot of STAYC. Run to You. I was also playing a lot of NMIX 00 around that time because they had just debuted.
Yeah. That's a small tangent. I was one of those that wasn't a big fan of OO at the beginning. But now NMIX, I freaking love NMIX, and they're doing great right now. They're doing amazing right now. So, but anyways, that's a tangent. So let's get back to STAYC.
Right. Yeah, so let's get back to our main discussion for tonight, which is the 2025 STAYC tour titled Stay Tuned. And this tour started in April in South Korea, Seoul, and consisted of a total of 23 stops starting from Asia, going down to Australia, to the Southeast Asia, and then culminating in the final stops located in North America. So comparing this to the Teen Fresh tour, the Teen Fresh tour had about around 16 stops, which started in Korea, then went to the USA, and then went to Europe. But for this particular tour, it doesn't seem like they will be going to Europe at all. But they did increase the total number of stops to 23. How many of the stops did you go to?
So I went to 2 on this one. I went to the Irving/Dallas stop on October 10th. And I also went to the Boston stop as well on the 18th. So it was about a week, a little over a week in between that I got to see 2 concerts of theirs. What about you?
Yeah. So, well, you asked what about me, knowing. So I actually attended all of the North America stops, starting from Seattle and finishing off in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Total of 10. But when we were planning this tour, we had already known about it since at the beginning of the year, around, I guess, like February, maybe even earlier than that, actually, because they did come out with the roadmap for their 2025 in late 2024. So we already had an idea of this world tour that was coming. And it was just only a matter of time of figuring out when exactly it would happen. And the tickets went on sale in May of 2025. Now, you actually bought a ticket for this tour for Boston, right?
Mm-hmm. I had really good luck picking Boston. I was always going to go see family up there. I didn't want it to just be one reason. I like to do multiple things when I go on trips and stuff. So I'd never been to Boston. I haven't seen my cousin in about 20-ish years, and I haven't met her husband and her daughter, her 10-year-old daughter, before that. So it was a great reason to go see them. So I kind of planned it all out around the STAYC trip. So I was like, okay, October 18th, Boston, that looks good. I'll go ahead and I'll aim for that. And I didn't really have any troubles during Ticketmaster. It wasn't like super horrible for me. Managed a VIP, just soundcheck VIP. I thought it was a really good spot. I was like, all right, this is going to be it. A couple months later, I started planning and talking with, my family about being up there and what we're doing. But yeah, it was May, huh? It seems like so long ago that I remember buying the tickets and I was like, man, this is going to be a long time before I see them. And I was really kind of antsy. I was kind of like, man, I want to see a group. I want to see somebody soon. And I was so impressed with their Teen Fresh tour the first time. I was like, this is going to be awesome. And on top of that, seeing you and seeing the other STAYC friends that we have and meeting them and everything, I was like, okay, I'm going to meet up with some friends later. This could be awesome.
Yeah, so this tour was managed by LiveNation. And LiveNation has started this type of procedure, I guess, where they sell tickets for their shows at least 5 months in advance. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, so you were already on board. You wanted to see STAYC. You had planned to go to Boston. So how did the Dallas Irving show come about? Like, why did you decide to end up trying to go there?
So for those that don't know, I am in Houston, and Dallas is usually like a 4.5 hour trip to drive up there. And it was always in the back of my mind. I've done the trip before. I've driven the trip. I've done bus trips and everything. It was always in the back of my mind. I was like, you know what? I can do it if I really, really wanted to. As it turns out, thanks to our contacts and thanks to LiveNation, we actually got approved for a review ticket. We got approved for a review ticket about 24 hours before the actual show. So I was actually kind of making a lot of changes, scrambling and everything to accommodate for the Irving show. I believe I was texting you guys. It's like, hey guys, I might need a place to stay. But it was awesome because I felt the rush. I was like, great, everybody's talking great about the concerts already. Everyone's having a lot of fun. Cool, I get to see an additional show before my real show. So thank you to LiveNation and STAYC for allowing me the chance to go see them up in Irving. The process of me getting there wasn't like too bad. I usually take a bus up there. It was about a 4.5 hour drive on this bus, and I've done it, gosh, maybe 5 times before for other shows and everything. I'm kind of over driving up to Dallas and back again. I would rather have somebody else drive or whatnot. So it was great. And the cool thing about it was during my during my bus ride, there was one person that was behind me. He was actually wearing the STAYC tour jersey. So I actually got to make friends with the buddy up there, and I asked him, "Hey man, you're going up to see STAYC in Dallas. You got the jersey. What was your first stop?" And he had mentioned he saw them in Korea first. So I was like, "Oh man." I was so jealous right off the bat. He was showing off all the photo cards and everything, and we hit it off right away. I usually like talking to people, especially when you have similar hobbies and tastes. And knowing that he was wearing the STAYC jersey, I don't think he was gonna ever talk to me, but I reached out and talked to him, and we had a awesome conversation for about an hour and a half before we both fell asleep on the bus on the way up there. So it was great. Once I got up there, I met up with our friend Justin, who picked me up at the bus stop, and met up with you guys back at the casa and everything. So it was good to see you guys again, but I was kind of tired from that bus trip.
Yeah, so you essentially got the ticket for the show the day before and took a bus up the morning of.
Mm-hmm. I took a 7:30 bus, I believe, 7:15 bus up to Dallas. And I was like, I can do this. This is no problem. So I met up with you guys around 11:30 or noon. I saw you guys, and I could tell that y'all were pretty tired because everybody was kind of relaxing and chilling at the moment. And I was all excited to see you guys, and I was like, damn, I'm tired too.
So did any of my social media posts have any influence in your decision to go to Dallas? Because I thought that maybe you had a little bit of FOMO.
Yes, I was. I was a little bit. I was like, oh man, everybody's
I
so
mentioned
close.
that because yeah, I mentioned that because actually quite a few people reached out to me after the Seattle show, the San Jose show, asking me about going to see STAYC, and I know for a fact that there were many people on tour who may have had only planned to see them once or twice and ended up seeing them multiple times.
Oh yeah, I remember some of the conversations, like when people would post their videos or their photos, and not only of just STAYC, but just of us having fun and going crazy and everything. They're like, "Hey, do y'all have extra room at Toronto, or do y'all have extra? Where are y'all gonna meet up in New York?" Da, da, da. I was like, man, the gravitational pull of STAYC just got stronger and stronger as the tour went on. But yes, I was kind of feeling a little bit of FOMO. I was trying not to spoil myself. I didn't look at the set list. I knew people that already put the set list up and everything. I was like, okay, don't look at it. You don't need to know. I think somebody spoiled me on the sound check set list, and I was like, ah, damn it. Well, at least I'll know what that is like a week later. Yeah, I was feeling it. I was like, man, STAYC's back. STAYC's back, and I'm gonna see them again.
Yeah, and we did see them at Irving, and the venue was the Pavilion at Toyota Music Factory. Have you actually ever been to that venue before? Tell me more about it.
I've never been in that area before. I've always saw shows, a lot of shows at the Bomb Factory, and I know that's kind of like the opposite way from where the pavilion was. So, pavilion was great. It's a really big area, lots of cool restaurants around there. So there's always something going on. It's got a big square in the middle. There's an Alamo Draft House. I kind of knew. I kind of knew that. I was like, oh, Alamo Draft House is here. But the actual theater, the amphitheater that we were at, is the pavilion. I like it. It's a very intimate venue. I prefer, like, we've done the basketball stadiums, we've done the big, football and soccer stadiums and everything, but I kind of like the smaller venues because it just, you feel a lot closer to the artists and everything. For a lot of reasons, it feels louder because, there's lower profile ceiling and everything. The fans just like, their voices carry a lot quicker instead of just carrying straight up like a football stadium would be. So I liked it a lot. They had the two bars on the left and right side, but I believe only one side was open. If I'm not mistaken, the other side was for all the VIP stuff. But the area was great. The seats were comfy. I just remember the seats being comfy and not being like, rock hard plastic or anything like that. And it was just easy to walk around there. I know when you guys went to do all your VIP benefits, I was waiting outside and I just camped out at this Mexican restaurant that was nearby, and I just ate chips and salsa. I grabbed a couple of drinks beforehand. I was like, okay, I'm pre-gaming on my own while you guys were already inside.
Yeah, I really liked that venue a lot actually. I felt like the stage was at an appropriate height. I really liked how they laid out the seating arrangements. I loved how they had the bars on each side. There's plenty of bathrooms on each side, really easy to get to and from the bathrooms as well. Sometimes some venues will have the bathrooms all the way in the back or somewhere downstairs or upstairs, and then you're like running if you're on the floor and you're like running during the VCRs or something, and it takes like a minute just to get out of the auditorium, and then you have to climb up and downstairs, and you have to use the bathroom. By the time you get back, it's already been like 10 minutes, right? This venue, the bar was right there at the end of the auditorium area, and then right next to the bars were the bathrooms, so you could be in and out of the bathroom in like 2-3 minutes, very fast. Really appreciated the ease of access to both the bar and the restrooms there.
It's so easy that people at the front can go to the bathroom 4 or 5 times during the show and have their friends laugh at them as they go.
Yeah, and they don't miss anything.
They don't miss a thing. Well, I was gonna say I did notice like some side screens, but they didn't have those on, unfortunately. So that was probably the one thing that would be a con about it. But that's more on the show and not the actual venue itself.
Did they not have it on for the entire show? I'm pretty sure they did.
I remember reading that some people were saying that it wasn't on. It was like you had to look straight at the stage.
Oh, well, to be
I think during
honest,
the VCRs it was probably on. But
oh yeah.
But we were always looking at the stage anyway, so why would we turn to our right or turn to our left like behind us to see the screens? But again,
I see. So was the complaint about people who were far away from the stage? They wanted to see a video feed of the girls on the side screens.
Yeah. And I don't believe it was on for them. I'll probably see if any videos have it, but I remember just glancing over the screens when it wasn't a VCR, and I was like, oh, they're black. They're not even showing the show. So
Okay, I mean that's a production thing.
yeah,
That's definitely something to note though, because yeah, the production, they didn't have that on any of the stops in North America where they actually had cameras on the girls, so they couldn't display anything on those screens if people
Oh.
wanted to see the girls on the screens.
I didn't even take stock of that. I didn't think that was. I didn't even look for like a bunch of cameras or production or anything like that. You were saying like the height of the stage. For me, I thought it was just a tad too high because I remember seeing like the fans, and I'm like, oh, great, this fan is blocking half of Shiun. I was like, oh man, yeah, but it wasn't like the most horrible height or anything like that. It wasn't like we had to crane our necks or anything. But for me, I thought it was just a bit too high. But that's personally my thing.
Okay, I can see that. It's just I've been to venues where the stage is too high, and like if you're in the first 2 or 3 rows, you can't even see the
Oh,
girls if you're sitting
you'd be
down.
screwed.
Alternatively, there's a situation where the stage is too low, and then nobody past the first 2 or 3 rows can see them. So I thought personally that it was a great medium. But you did mention a little bit about the VIP benefits. I know that you weren't able to partake of the VIP benefits at the Irving show, but I did personally, and I can go over that a little bit. Essentially, there were 2 VIP levels. The first being VIP 1, which included the meet and greet and the sound check, and the second being just the sound check, VIP 2. And for this tour, all of the VIP benefits took place before the show. So the show had a start time of 8 p.m. Doors would open for general at 7 p.m. Sound check was at 6 p.m. And the meet and greet was at 5 p.m. With check-in at 4 p.m. or in some cases a little bit earlier. In general, I think that schedule actually worked out perfectly. I loved it. It was great showing up at the venue at like 4:30 p.m. or even 4:45 p.m. and checking in, going straight inside, doing the meet and greet experience, which consisted of just a one-on-one photo with one random member.
That's crazy. When y'all were talking about that, I was like, RNG your meet and greet.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, after you did the meet and greet, you would go into the auditorium or the theater, and the sound check would start at 6 p.m. And then from there, you just have time to chill, and you could either eat some food or buy some merch. Essentially, just waiting for the show. I thought it was a pretty nice break in between. Personally, I enjoyed the schedule, but I did have some questions about how the meet and greet process was decided upon.
I was about to ask, can you give me a breakdown on how the meet and greet turned out and what the steps were and how things were handled?
Yeah, so the meet and greet, as I mentioned previously, was a one-on-one photo with a random member. So that means you meet one member, take a photo with them, and that's it. The way that it worked was when you checked in, and if you had the meet and greet package, you would get a ticket. It would be some type of raffle like ticket. It had a number on there, and that number would either be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Basically, one number from 1 through 6. You would line up into a line based on your number. If you had the numbers 1 to 3, you would line up in 3 lines in the front. And then if you had the numbers 4 through 6, you would line up in the 3 lines to the back. Because the way that they did the photos was 3 at a time. They would have the members, 3 random members, numbered 1, 2, and 3, inside these like makeshift booths where they had set up some studio lighting, and you didn't know who you would get because it's just black curtains.
Yeah,
it's just a black box.
Y'all were blacked out. You couldn't tell who was who.
Yeah, so they were pushing for the element of surprise, which I don't really understand personally, and I have my gripes about that as well, which I'll get to after we go through this step by step. But again, you get your ticket, you line up based on your number, and the first 3 members take photos with everybody who has the ticket from 1 to 3, and then those 3 members go back, get ready for the show, while the next 3 members come out and go into their little booths, and then the next 3 lines of 4, 5, and 6. Whoever had the number 4, 5, and 6 line up and take pictures with those 3 members. And yeah, it was completely random. I believe there are multiple suites who took like record of who had which number at every single stop. And it's completely random. In my personal opinion, I think the girls just drew their own numbers in the backstage. So like there would be 6 tickets, and the girls backstage would draw a number, and that's how they figured out like who would be 1, 2, and 3, and who would be 4, 5, and 6. You line up, you take your picture, and you're supposed to get 2 poses or 2 pictures with each member. I think there was a little bit of miscommunication on the earlier stops of the tour where some of the staff was only taking 1 picture. So I feel a little bit bad for the people in like San Jose and Los Angeles and Seattle. I'm not sure exactly when they corrected this, but I noticed after, for sure, Irving, that everyone was getting 2 poses, 2 photos with every member. I know for me personally in San Jose, I was only able to get 1 photo with one of the members. It was just like 1 or 2 specific staff members, and it was corrected halfway through the tour. But I do feel a little bit bad for the people who were only able to get 1 photo.
So at Irving, just to clarify, at Irving, everybody got 2 photos, right?
Everyone should have gotten 2 photos with whoever was their chosen member.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, on the one hand, I think it's a really cool opportunity to be able to take a picture with the STAYC members. It's not a common opportunity. It's pretty rare, actually. I know in Korea, it's generally impossible to take a picture with STAYC. They only really do photo ops in overseas countries, like when they go to China or when they go to Japan, or this time when they came to North America. But the thing that I personally have an issue with is, first of all, for the fan experience, as a fan who has never seen STAYC before, perhaps this is their first time, maybe it's their only time seeing STAYC, at least in 2025, to have a meet and greet experience and it being a random member, it could be somebody who is not your bias, which I know is the case for a lot of the people that I met. They ended up taking a photo with just obviously a random member, and that's the only member that they have any interaction with. They don't get to see the other members at all. They don't have any interaction with the other members at all outside of the show, the sound check, if they're lucky enough to get an interaction during the sound check or the show. So I think personally, there needs to be some type of high touch or even a high wave. You know, as like low quality as that type of fan engagement is, it's still an opportunity to be able to see all the members together. And for somebody who this may be their first time seeing STAYC, to not even have the opportunity to be able to see their bias up close, I think it's a little bit disappointing, and I'm sure a lot of people were disappointed about that.
I do understand like the surprise element of it. I was like, oh, okay, if I'm number 5, cool. Let's see what's behind door number 5, and oh, hey, it's Jay. You know, I can totally understand the idea and thinking of that. But I also understand, like, yeah, you know, you have these people that pay that amount of money. I would think you would want to get either the member that you would want to get or all of them at some point. You know, I'm not a fan of like the class photo of, you know, random people with your photo of your, you know, the team and everything like that. But this one, it felt like they could have done, like, do you feel like they could have done one picture with each member, and then you have the break afterwards? Because it feels like y'all had like a nice hour break. Maybe they could have spent 30 minutes of that taking more photos and things with, you know, other members or something like that. Maybe they could have done something a little different, you know.
So I completely understand the process, right? I understand the reason why you might want to make it a surprise. It's fun. It is kind of fun to get somebody random, right? I also understand the process of doing a one-to-one photo, just like one member and you. You know, you bring a price, like people are spending $500 on these tickets, not to mention whatever other costs that may be associated with going to the show, whether it be driving to or from or traveling to and from, possibly booking a hotel at the city that they're watching the show at. So people are spending, you know, at minimum $500, some up to like thousands of dollars, maybe more, right? For the tour. And to not be able to take a photo with your bias, it's pretty sad. Like I met somebody who is a big ISA fan and she does like group orders. She's a big ISA fan. She does video calls with ISA. And she wasn't even able to get a photo with her because she was only able to attend 2 stops. And both stops, she wasn't able to get ISA for her random ticket. So yeah, in that case, I feel really bad for people who were only able to do 1 stop or 2 stops and not be able to even see their bias or who could be even their ultimate bias idol, right? And I get it, you know, like logistically taking pictures with each and every member one to one, that might be pushing it too far, right? I mean, obviously that would be an incredible experience. But again, like there is a value associated with these photos, right? While I think a one to one could be fine, or even like a one to group, I think a one to group photo is not terrible. If you ask me, at minimum, there should be some type of high touch, high wave because that goes by so fast. It's a very minimal time investment, and you can see your favorite idols up close. I think the one to one photo is the ultimate of fan engagement because you get to have that photo. In this case, they took it with the cell phone. Sometimes, you know, some companies will take it with like a Polaroid, Instax Mini, something like that. But in this case, they took it with your phone. No, they turned off live photo. They were checking for screen recording. But still, you know, like one to one with your favorite idols, it's a great experience. Now, if it was me, I would try to do some type of other fan engagement that includes the entire group, either that high touch, either
Yeah.
that high wave. But obviously, the best one would just be the one to group photo, right? So there's a touring company called Leo Presents, and you may have heard of them.
Hmm.
They've done plenty of K-pop tours, and they kind of have like this ultimate system down, right? So they have multiple tiers, and obviously the first one is just like sound check and high wave or high touch, something like that. And then the next tier is both of those, but then it includes a group photo. And then the next tier after that, it includes all of that, and then it includes a one-on group photo. So it's just you and the entire group. And then the final tier, like the top tier, is where you get all of that, and then you get a one-on-one photo with all the members, right? So I think while it's logistically a lot more difficult, it's a lot more time intensive, you can do some type of tiered system structure like that, where it makes sense. I don't think, you know, it's tough to say like, oh, why don't you just sell tickets of, you know, one-on-one photos with every member, right? And then you're gonna have like some members, they're gonna like Isa in particular, she's gonna sell out right away, and maybe some of the members might not sell out, right? So
Yeah.
that's the danger with that, in my opinion.
If they had offered like a package, like right then and there, you know, if I was like GA, but you have the opportunity to have a one on one photo, it's $150. I probably would have been instinctive and like, you know, sign me up, let me do it and get in line while I'm waiting. And I would have done it then and there. So I guess they were trying to keep it as orderly as possible. You know, they have their plan and they stuck to it and everything. But hopefully they'll be able to, you know, provide more options in the future.
Well, you know, it's LiveNation, and it's a large corporation.
They have their routine down, basically.
They understand logistics better than anybody. I've seen countless companies try to do too much with too little and not be able to deliver what's promised. the one thing that I can appreciate about LiveNation is that you're gonna get what you pay for. I understand logistically how much work goes into these fan engagements, but when it comes to K-pop, it's all about fan engagements, right? It's there for me, in my personal opinion, there's like 3 or 4 pillars of K-pop. There's the music, there's the dance, and then there's the fan engagements, right? And then, that fourth pillar, there's really a lot of things, but really when it comes to K-pop, there's music, dance, and fan engagements. People go to these concerts to see their favorite idols, and if they don't see their favorite idols, it kind of ruins the mood a little bit.
What other VIP benefits were there for you guys? Did y'all get some free swag?
Yeah, so aside from the soundtrack and the meet and greets, they also gave like a cool little bag, like a tote bag. It was like an all-over print with the tour poster image on it. And inside the bag was 2 giveaways, 2 little gifts, which included a little power bank, like a pocket-sized power bank, and a electric fan, like a portable fan.
With batteries. They gave us batteries.
Yeah, there's batteries. But so I personally haven't used the portable charger yet or the power bank, but I noticed that the input is only micro USB or mini USB, which is like some ancient, like nobody uses micro and mini USB anymore. So this power bank must have been like hella old, hella cheap, or something. I don't know. Yeah, the only way to charge the power bank is using like mini or micro USB. Like, who even has those cords still?
Hey, my camera will only charge through micro USBs. That's the only reason I keep one around. And I'm like, oh my God, I looked at it, I was like, at least I have a cord for it. So
Okay, I'm being a little bit facetious. Like, I do have like a mini USB, micro USB at home, but like when I'm on the road, I'm carrying USB-C, and that's pretty much it. So I haven't actually used that little power bank. It looks like it'd be about like 1,000 milliamperes or something like that. So it'd probably charge like an iPhone
let me see.
Pro from like 60% to 70%. I don't know. Like I don't think it really has that much charge, but I do appreciate the thought of the giveaways because hypothetically speaking, if you are attending the concert and you're going early to the concert and you might just need that little bit of juice to keep your phone alive at the end of the concert, then you have this you have this power bank, right? Sometimes it's hot while you're waiting. Maybe you're outside, maybe the sun is shining and the temperature is high. You have this electric fan, right? Or maybe the venue AC air conditioning is not so great and it's pretty warm inside the venue. You start sweating, you want to use the fan, which I actually did use the fan for a couple of the stops, 2 or 3 of the stops. But the problem with the fan is that it's so weak. You can barely feel the fan. Like, you're actually using your hand as a fan would provide more cooling power. However, obviously, you actually have to put the work into using your hand as a fan. But not only is the power of the portable fan weak, the batteries, at least in my experience, that only lasted like 15 to 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes at most. So I don't know if it's just like really power inefficient or the batteries that it came with were just really crappy. But hey, I get it. At least they were useful for a short period of time.
Yeah, I can't remember any VIP that I've gone to where I've gotten, a little pocket power bank that I could just slip into my pocket or slip into a bag or a fan. But I powered up the fan maybe one time and I was like, yeah, this ain't cooling me off at all. So it was a nice idea. I appreciate the nice idea.
Honestly speaking, it's usable. I did use it, and that is way better than what could be said for the majority of these, quote, exclusive gifts that a lot of K-pop artists give for their VIPs. A lot of that is just kind of paperweights or trash. Hey, it's the thought that counts, and I think it was definitely a good idea. I felt like they cut costs on the VIP. Like, how many VIPs are there? You're buying this in bulk. Like, at least get a decent power bank that takes USB-C where you can charge it with a USB-C or at least USB-A. Oh, man. And then at least have the fan like cool. Like if you were to use this fan in the outside heat, like you probably would barely feel it. I don't know, man. But hey, again, the idea makes sense. The execution is slightly lacking.
The power bank officially is 1800 milliamps. That's the
I was
capacity.
close.
I was like, oh yeah.
So it charges your iPhone Pro from 50% to 70%.
It's gonna be a backup. It's gonna be a backup charger.
So I mean, it's not terrible. It's cool. It has the STAYC, like the Stay Tuned branding on everything. So the fan has that Stay Tuned branding. The power bank has that Stay Tuned branding. The bag has the picture of the girls on it. It's decent. And you get the lanyard with the badge.
Yeah. It's got basically the poster, even though the girls are kind of blurry on it, and it says VIP.
Yeah, I mean, it does the job. I actually had to use it because my luggage was overweight on the Chicago,
Oh no.
going from Chicago back to New York. I had to take stuff out of my check-in bag and I stuffed it all into the STAYC tote bag and took it onto the plane, and I didn't have any problems with it.
Awesome.
All right, so yeah, we've discussed the pricing, the venue, the VIP. Let's get to the concert. So, Alan, STAYC, live in Irving. How do you feel?
It was great, man. The energy was very high. It was super loud, at least from where I was at. Everybody was hyped. There was cheers all throughout throughout the night. The girls looked great. I felt like there wasn't really a bad seat in the house. I was looking forward. There were some songs I was looking forward to right off. So I was like, okay, I need to see Bebe live, and they hit it right off the bat. So I was like super happy. I was like, yes, this is awesome. They did great. They started off strong, and I felt like I was in the mood. I was dancing. I was like, I don't like do their dances. I don't watch any of their videos for dances, but in my head I was like, here I am singing and dancing along with everybody else around me. I was like, this is awesome. Bebe was one, and Poppy always stuck with me back on the Teen Fresh tour in LA. When Poppy started playing, my section back then was jumping up and down like it was a rave during Poppy. This time it was more like, here I am doing the hand gestures, doing the bunny ears and everything that Sheen and Sumin were doing. I was like, oh, I've listened and watched Poppy so much that I know the dances and everything. It was awesome. The set list, I did like the pacing of the set list and everything. I like that the unit songs and Isis Solo was in the middle and everything, and I love their different colored dresses. I don't know if this was the same outfits they had throughout the rest of the tour. I know they started off in all black and everything. Then they did their unit dresses or their solo dresses. And then they went into the black, the denim skirt and the denim top and everything. Was this the same throughout all the other shows?
Yeah, so the STAYC tour, Stay Tuned, had 4 sets of outfits during the show, but in total they had 5 outfits. They had the first outfit, which was all black, and that led into the first VCR where they afterwards they came out with the dresses where they all wearing different colored dresses. And then after that, they would go into their final outfit, which consisted of alternating depending on the stop, either the denim outfit that you saw both in Irving and in Boston, as well as a pink outfit that they wore on the other stops, alternating. And the denim outfit was actually exclusive for the North America tour. It was the first time that they wore those outfits. The final outfit was the encore outfit where they wore the different merchandise that they were selling.
Mm-hmm. Was one stop? Did they all have white outfits at one stop, or was that like in one of the Asia stops? I just remember casually looking through some of the videos and everything, and I was like, I saw them all in white for some reason. I wasn't sure if it was one of the stops though.
White outfits. Okay. You know what? I didn't even realize until you told me just now. But there were actually 4 outfits per show, but 6 total outfits. So not only were the denim outfits and the pink outfits swapped for the third set, but the black outfits had an alternate with where they would wear white outfits, alternating stops. So that's where you saw the white outfits.
Gotcha.
Yeah, good pointing that out. I totally forgot about the white outfits.
Oh man, I'm a hardcore SWITH. But let's see. I am a fan of Young Love as a song. So seeing or hearing that on Teen Fresh and hearing that again here got me. I was like, I love this song. And, I just love hearing the girls sing that one. I did like how during Bubble they brought out all these bubble machine guns and everything. And they were just literally like shooting bubbles all day. And it looked great too. I like the little aesthetics like that. It's kind of different from the Teen Fresh tour, but I remember looking at pictures back on that, and I have shots of the girls just covered in bubbles or the crowd covered in bubbles, and that was great. GPT, of course, GPT is a highlight of mine because everybody was doing the hand gestures and the claps and everything during the chorus, and that was awesome. Having the crowd do all that is just like getting them to participate. They're following along. It's easy for anybody to do. It was great. I love the crowd interactions in Dallas. It was awesome.
So as far as the set list goes, was it everything that you were looking for? How did you feel about it, especially in comparison to the Teen Fresh tour?
Oh man, it felt like so fast. To me, it was like, I think it was paced very well, almost to the point where the energy levels didn't dip, at least not with me, and at least not with the people that were around me. Everybody was just super happy. Everybody was focused. Everybody was looking at the girls. They were great. They were interacting. They were cheering and screaming. Nothing like too obnoxious or anything. It's everything like the girls could appreciate. I'm reading the set list. I'm like, did we really do 23 songs and 2 encores? Because, man, that's 25 songs, and it felt like it was over so fast. I loved it.
I mean, yeah, it was a 2.5 hour show, plus or minus about like 5 to 10 minutes. So it was quite a full show consisting of a lot of songs, the VCRs, and traditional ments sections where they would actually talk about a variety of things. Really, like every stop, they would just talk about so many different things. They were just a bunch of yappers.
So the highlight of the Irving stop for me, there were 2 things during the ments. So one was when Shion asked, "So, do you guys use Chat GPT?" And the crowd gave us like a resounding like, "Not really," or "No." And you could see the look on her face. She was shocked. She was like, "Really? How come?" I remember looking around and I see people doing the X sign with their hands, and like, people just didn't use ChatGPT. And Yoon was trying to save it. She was like, they like STAYC GPT and not ChatGPT. I thought that was funny. And then Shion went off, talked about how she asked ChatGPT if Irving SWITH would like the show and everything, and mentioned that the response was like, "Yeah, the fans are very hot and they will love the show." And I was sitting here just, I was having a laugh. We were talking about it afterwards for a couple of days, just how funny that was. The other funny thing during the Ments was when they asked, what should we do? What should we visit? What's good up in Irving? And as a Texan, I knew what the answer was going to be. And I said Whataburger. I'm a dumbass apparently, because I said Whataburger. But of course, everybody would mention Buc-ee's. And Buc-ee's is like the big popular gas station with the clean bathrooms that you can also happen to get food at, and it's like a tourist spot. Personally, I think Buc-ee is a little overhyped, but whatever. But the idea of them trying to understand that it was a gas station, first off, they couldn't understand the word Buc-ee's that everybody's saying. I think they were like, monkey? Are y'all talking about monkeys? Even Yoon was like, muffin? The translation just wasn't going through until they finally figured it out. They're like, Buc-ee's? Oh, like that guy over there. And there was a guy dressed up as the Buc-ee's mascot. Everybody was like, yeah, Buc-ee's, you should go. Yoon was asking, well, what kind of food can I get there? And everybody's saying, beaver nuggets. I'm sitting there like, they're like, beaver? You can get beaver? It was kind of funny / embarrassing. It's just hard to explain Buc-ee's to somebody that doesn't even live in Texas, let alone in the United States on it. So, but yeah, you go for the clean bathrooms and maybe their sour candy. I love their sour candy. Yeah, you can get like brisket sandwiches there. They're all right. They're nothing special. But yeah, clean bathrooms, awesome. Hopefully they treat their workers better nowadays. But yeah, those were like the two funny things, interactions with the crowd and highlights that I remember very well from the Irving stop.
Yeah, personally, I haven't really had good food at Buc-ee's. I've tried a bunch of things at Buc-ee's. As you said, I don't think their food's anything special, but their bathrooms, yeah, I love the bathrooms. I mean, they have a really nice soda wall. They have a lot of different jerkies, but all the jerkies that I've tried were kind of mid at best. Their sandwiches were mid at best. I've tried the beaver nuggets, mid at best. So yeah, Buc-ee's is a little bit overhyped, but I like the merchandise. I like the beaver merchandise. I like the bathrooms. So, and it's clean. It's big. It's clean. Just the bathrooms are amazing over there. Yeah. Like I can't go on enough about the bathroom.
Sour candy. Are you a big fan of sour candy? Because that's the only thing that I get. I'll get like these watermelon slices. This sour candy there. That's usually what I would get out of Buc-ee's. The other food, not really. It's not what I would go for.
Yeah, I do like sour candies, but I'm not a candy guy in general. I don't really go out of my way to buy candy for the most part. So that is probably one of the few things in Buc-ee's that I haven't tried. But yeah, maybe one day I'm at Buc-ee's again. Maybe I'll check it out. I'm surprised that STAYC didn't go to Buc-ee's last time that they were in Texas, because they were on the Teen Fresh tour. They had stops in both San Antonio and Dallas. So if any moment would have been the time for them to go to Buc-ee's, I think that would have been like the perfect time.
You always got to go for a road trip. People always use Buc-ee's as like a destination. But other than that, it's
I think that was actually the first time I experienced Buc-ee's, was driving from San Antonio to Dallas on the Teen Fresh tour.
Nice.
So on the topic of these ments, like a lot of times some groups will almost like completely forgo the ments. They'll not even have really any talking sections during the concert. How did you feel about STAYC having such segmented sets that were separated by ments, a lot of different ments, and they would talk about all kinds of different things? Do you like that as opposed to just all music?
I can see where people are like, cool, they could have used the 10 minutes of talking for 2 or 3 other songs. But I enjoyed the mints. You know, you have an English speaker with Shiyun, and she wants to talk and she wants to relate. And, you know, you have a translator that's on standby, ready to, translate for the other girls. And there were funny stories or funny anecdotes coming out of not just the Irving tour, but for the other tours as well. I like it. Every time I've gone to a STAYC concert, there's always been funny interactions during the ments and everything. The big one that I remember was from the LA stop in Teen Fresh, where Seun was saying she's really shy. And somebody, I think it was Yoon. I think Yoon was like, yeah, she's super shy. And everybody started singing super shy. and it was a great moment because they started doing the dance and everything, and Jay cuts everybody off. She's like, hey, whoa, 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 this is a STAYC concert. What are we doing here? So,
Man, your memory.
oh man, I love that. I love
That's
that.
like pretty much exactly how it happened. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Stacy are just a bunch of yappers, and I really appreciate personally all the ments that they do. Even if you like take out the ments, that doesn't mean that they're gonna add more music. Like look at Blackpink, they don't have any ments. It's just all music, but the show is like an hour and a half long.
Yeah. It's just another way for the fans to engage with the group, and it benefits for there are benefits of having like the smaller auditoriums and everything because they can see you can see them, you can yell out your responses and they can hear you. I loved it. I loved it.
So would you say you're more of a fan of the traditional concert with segmented sets along with VCRs and the ments, or do you prefer just like almost straight music into short VCRs back into music, just like nonstop action?
I enjoy a breather every so often. I'm getting up there in age where it's kind of like, you know what, I could use some time to sit down, or I could use a breather because I've been singing at the top of my lungs. I've been dancing for like 4 songs straight. I'm okay with that. I know there are people that are just like, all right, they think of it like a festival where it's just song after song after song after song, and you got to pick one where you're not as involved or anything like that. I like the pacing of the show. Have a little break, have the girls have a little break. They're standing around getting their drinks, talking to us, and they're still happy about it. So yeah, I prefer this type, to be honest.
Yeah, personally, I agree as well. Finishing up with this setlist conversation, you discussed a bunch of songs that you enjoyed listening to. Were there any songs that weren't on the set list that you kind of wish that you heard?
The one there's a couple of songs. So for I wanted to hear Flexing on My Ex again because that was like the the secret song that they were doing during Teen Fresh. I would love to have heard it again. The other one was Butterfly. I remember when they were asking what songs do you want to kind of hear. Our section just went off. We were like, Butterfly, please, Butterfly. Other than that, nah, I was pretty satisfied with the songs that we got. There weren't like any other big changes throughout, so I appreciated the songs that we got.
It was nice that starting in Irving, actually, I believe, they started doing a cappella versions of a bunch of their songs
Oh,
during some of the ments.
they didn't do it in the first 3 year shows or so, huh?
That was kind of mid tour adjustment. They actually had a few mid tour adjustments, such as during the song Meant to Be, one of the members, Sumin, actually suggested that the fans would turn on the flashlights on their phones, which ended up being a
Yeah.
really cool experience for the rest of the tour.
And that started in Irving?
I think that may have started in LA.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just one of those things that, STAYC is not super rigid. Like we talked about the Ments, where every city, they'll have like different conversations with the fans and they'll adjust the show based on what they think could be improved, like the flashlights or the acapella segments. So yeah, just another thing to really enjoy about STAYC and their performances.
They're flexible is what I would say.
Yeah, like there's some groups that are just like, this is the set list, this is the only thing that we're gonna do. This is the script, it's the same script for every stop, and no matter how many stops you go to, it's always the same ments. And yeah, I mean, like that kind of reduces the rewatchability or just like going to multiple stops. Like it's not as enjoyable, right?
Yeah.
At least in my opinion.
Yeah, I always prefer like if I see a group multiple times, I wouldn't want it to be the exact same show. I would like to have little differences here and there.
Were there any other highlights over the concert that you wanted to bring up?
Oh my gosh. I think one of the highlights I remember is Stacy does the tradition of walking up and down the aisles during the encores, and oh, that's great. I don't know any group currently that does that during their concerts or anything. Another reason to have a smaller, more intimate venue. The trick now is to have aisle seats. So I was lucky to have aisle seats, not only in Irving but in Boston as well, where the girls will just walk up and down, and you can try to get an interaction with them. And some people were getting selfies, some people were making hearts, some people were doing fist bumps or high fives, and the girls are right there. They're literally in talking distance with you. So I loved it. That was one of the things that I saw y'all's videos and everything. I'm like, oh, they're doing the cool little walking thing, and you could see the fans interact with the other girls. That I loved. I did get some love in Irving. Isa, she hearted my phone. She gave a heart to my phone, so I was like, awesome. That was great.
Yeah, one of the other things, aside from that little encore segment where they go up and down the aisles when they could, they also gave away like a GoPro at every stop, which was
crazy.
Kind of crazy.
That also, when I saw y'all's video, or I was seeing the videos, the girls with a selfie stick and a GoPro, I'm like, oh, they're just recording for maybe it's for their YouTube channel, and they have backstage, and they're just showing shots of the crowd. But then all of a sudden they hand off the the selfie stick and the GoPro to some fan, and I'm like, did that person just score like a $500 GoPro? I'm like, this is awesome. And of course there's videos of the girls on there, so it's like a personalized gift for a lucky fan that's in the crowd. Another reason to kind of be on the floor and be near the aisle is because you'll have the shot of maybe scoring a free GoPro that happens to have STAYC videos on it. So that's crazy. Like, I couldn't believe that they were doing that. And I don't really know how much GoPros go for nowadays. I always thought $500 flat. So I'm like, all right, if they've been doing it for every stop here, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They like dropped $5,000 on gifts to give to a lucky fan. That's freaking awesome.
Well, I think this particular GoPro was an older model. I believe it was closer to like $200, $300. But still, I mean, it's a cool thing. So essentially what this was about halfway through the show, one of the STAYC members, it would be different for pretty much every stop, would come out. They'd be given a selfie stick with a GoPro, and they'd record a bunch of stuff on stage. And then this would go on for about 2 songs, starting from the song Bubble, leading into the song Troublemaker. And during Troublemaker, they would go and give it to a lucky fan. And every member had their own criteria on who to give it to and why to give it to them. But yeah, that was a really cool experience during the tour. Personally, for me, I didn't really think much of the GoPro itself, but more about the experience about getting it, right? Like being chosen to be one of the lucky few to be able to get the GoPro directly from one of the STAYC members. How did you feel about that?
It's one of 10. That would be...
Well, they also did it at some of the other stops in like Australia, for example.
Oh, okay.
Southeast Asia, yeah. So more than that, but yeah.
Even then, that's you could play the lottery afterwards, because you're gonna be one of like 3,000 people that are in there that happen to get a nice GoPro. It's just gonna be another memory for that lucky person that they've got exclusive STAYC footage of a specific girl on there, and it's gonna be like, I thought it was heartwarming. I loved seeing the reactions of certain people that got them, and they were just like genuinely happy and shocked, and they got that pog face going on, and it's like they were chosen and they couldn't believe it, and they were probably just happy for the rest of the evening and probably the rest of the week at that point.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a highlight of the show. I do want to conclude our overall concert discussion with a little conversation about the production of the overall show. In your opinion, how did you feel about the Stay Tuned production put on by LiveNation?
It was efficient, but it wasn't flashy. I remember at the Team Fresh tour, it was just GA, no assigned seats. Everybody was packed in like sardines. Oh, and by the way, we had streamer cannons and confetti cannons and things like that. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is normal for a concert. This one was like, we got GoPros and we got the girls walking around and everything. We got bubbles, but as far as like theatrics or anything visually appealing, they had the big screen in the back and with all the graphics and everything. I would say it was simple and effective. Nothing like super flashy or anything like that. Girls look great. I love the outfits and the songs. I don't know about you, but were the songs kind of remixed a little bit? Like I remember hearing a lot more guitar in some of the songs. It didn't sound like the normal tracks, at least for the second half of the concert. So I felt like they put in a little bit of effort in other places, but I liked it. It was simple but fun.
Yeah, so I immediately when I was in Seattle and I heard a lot of these songs have like some minor rearrangements to include various strings like electric violin or electric guitar or different instruments that help it stand out a little bit more. And it's not quite a remix, it's more of a rearrangement, or just
yeah.
like maybe just like a sprucing up for the live version of the track. But yeah, definitely that was an interesting touch. I remember first hearing it and turning to one of our friends, Justin, and my co-host of the DMZ podcast, and just like looking at each other, whoa, wait, this is different.
It was a little loud at first. I think it was. I didn't notice it until I think it was maybe Run to You, or I was like, oh wow, they're adding a little bit extra on here. That might have been where it hit my brain. I was like, this sounds a little bit different. So I appreciate it. It's adding a little spice to the songs, but not really having a live band or like, paying for a live band or anything. So it's different.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, we did already discuss this a little bit, that STAYC has that flexibility on changing things up with the men's and with the flashlights. And you went to 2 stops. You went to Irving and you went to Boston. Were there any other differences you noticed between the stops that you went to? I think we already discussed the outfits already too, right?
Yeah. So. You were saying the Ments were different in Boston than they were in other shows. So every city's Ments were different. Every topics were different. The songs that they were doing a cappella to were different. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head which ones were, that they sang there, but I just remember, they were being very accepting of like fan feedback. They're like, hey, what do you want to hear? And literally it wasn't like a minute of fans yelling. It was like 5 minutes of fans yelling and everything. The one big one in Boston that I remember during the Ments was Shiun again was talking about how she had lost her in-ear, one of her in-ears, and it turned out to be that it was just hanging on her clothes. She was like, hey guys, let me tell you something that happened backstage. I lost one of my in-ears. I can't believe it. So I cannot hear my members. I can't hear their voices or anything. And you can see Seun was like messing with the back of her like outfit, and they found it. And Shiun was just so happy that she hugged her right then and there, and the crowd was chanting Seun, Seun. So that was definitely different. That was not in anything like in other cities. So it was awesome. It was awesome. I like the little things like that.
How about the venues? Like, what did you feel that there was really any differences in the various venues that you went to?
So in in Boston, we were lined up outside of the venue and everything. Even like the VIPs were lined up outside. But once we got in, you could walk to everything. It was awesome. I think I'm going to be a little biased because we actually kind of had a special hookup at Boston. We ended up going up to the VIP lounge. I thought that was great. It's nice to have family that has some contacts, and you tell them what you're doing, and like, oh yeah, let me get you in contact with some folks. So I talked about this with the guys, and I was like, hey, we might be able to get up to the lounge. Keep your expectations low. We're just gonna just do what we can. You guys went to VIP. Actually, I went to VIP. I went to soundcheck that day. So we were in line for merch. However, they were like, hey guys, soundcheck's going to start. So we're going to close off merch, get into soundcheck. So that was a little bit different. I believed I missed out on like the beige t-shirt. So that kind of sucked. But, we had to go to soundcheck. And soundcheck was great. Soundcheck was awesome. That was the difference. That was my big differences because I had a different type of ticket in Irving. But yeah, after soundcheck, which was the same 3 songs if I'm not mistaken. So soundcheck was great. It was cool to see the girls there.
One of the things about this tour was for the soundcheck, it was just the same 3 songs for every single stop. Whereas the Teen Fresh tour, they would change it up. So I was a little bit disappointed about that.
The kind of unknown for our show, for Boston, was if we were going to get all 6 girls at the time. And fortunate enough, we had all 6 girls there. And it was great. It was fun. I believe it was the DC stop. Seyoon had to sit out because she wasn't feeling so great. So
yeah, exactly.
How was that experience for you guys that were there at DC?
It was sad. I personally was sad. I imagine a lot of the Seoul fans who could only attend the DC show were sad. It's very rare that STAYC performs with less than the full amount of members, the full 6 members. So that was a little bit jarring, especially for a full concert like this one. 2.5 hours without one of their members was pretty interesting, to say the least. But yeah, I mean, we completely understand, right? Like, as SWITHs, as STAYC fans, she wasn't feeling well. So it's better that she rested up and took care of her health. And she came back stronger for it in Boston. I mean, she was amazing in Boston.
Yeah, I really liked her energy at the time. So it looked like she needed maybe just a breather or whatnot, or a couple days off. But I was kind of like, oh man, if I don't get to see all 6, this is going to suck. But, it was great that she was there. Back to like the venue and everything. One of the benefits that we got was having access to the VIP lounge. And that was awesome. We got to take a picture next to the nice little, I don't know what those are called, the marquee signs. And it had STAYC on it. I was like, oh man, I don't think any other city had this. This is awesome. So we were all being nerds and taking pictures with the STAYC sign and everything. We're like, yeah, this is awesome. Plus we got to spend like an hour up there and just relaxing, and we had our own basic section of the VIP lounge to us, and we were we were taking drinks, we were taking shots. I think John started us off with some tequila shots, and then I came in with some lemon drops and stuff, and we were talking about STAYC, we were talking about fantasy football, and then we were talking more drinks and everything. And I think that pregame right there made me even more hyped for the show, because I unfortunately didn't sit with you guys. I was way off to the left-hand side while you guys were over, I guess, middle right. You guys were far from me, so I had to just make friends with everybody near me. It was we were nice and tipsy and everything, so I think it was a big hit for you guys, right?
Yeah, no, it was great. Definitely loved that VIP experience. Being able to have a little area that we could call our own, really, and it's just like a separate lounge inside the theater at Fenway. Yeah, it was super cool. I mean, you were by yourself, so it's a little bit. It's always a little bit of a downer when you're by yourself, away from your friends, but you made the most of it. You had a little bit of interaction, right?
Yeah. The guy next to me was from Houston, and he was at the Irving show, so we just hit it off right then and there. We were both ISA fans, so we're like, yes, this dude's great. And Everybody around us was really cool and everything. So no really tall people. All the tall people were behind us. So I was having the time of my life. Plus, I had a beer in my hand. I had my Corona, and when they were doing like the GPT dance, I had the Corona in my hand, and I swear Jay was laughing at me for a little bit. I was like, oh, might as well just drink this and be done. So it was great. And I was coaching, the guy next to me. He had an ISA fan, and he was like right there in the aisle. I was the next over, and I was like, okay, man, they're going to come over. We know what to do, right? He had the light stick at first, and I told him, no, man, you got to have the ISA fan. That way she knows who you are, that you're a fan. So he put down the light stick. He put up the ISA fan, and I had my phone, and I'm recording, and I'm like, all right, this is going to be awesome. He ends up getting a heart with her, and she gives me a fist bump. And I'm like, yes, this is the best. This is awesome. We're literally like jumping up and down. And then Seyoon and Jay come around. And Jay comes around, and she's got the cat ears and the whiskers and everything. And I'm sticking out my fist, and she gives the cutest fist bump. And I got it all all in video. And I was like, this is awesome. Boston is great. So I had so much fun in Boston. For me, it was like my favorite stop on the tour.
Were there any other notable differences between the Teen Fresh tour and the Stay Tuned tour that stood out to you? I mean, we already discussed like the production, but was there anything else?
I did miss the jersey thing, right? So I remember in LA they had all the different, Los Angeles teams, and they were all wearing different jerseys. And I know when they were having other jerseys in other places, I know about them not having the right Texas Rangers jersey. Is that right? They had like the wrong jersey last time in Teen Fresh. So nothing that low key. I thought that was very low key that they would wear the city's jerseys and everything. Nothing like that. So that was one big difference to me, just because, I went to both.
Can't do that twice, though. You can't do that twice in a row for like 2 tours in a row. I mean,
I don't know. I found it endearing. I thought, it was great. Plus, there was that mix up of, they got the wrong jerseys, and then they went all the way to Europe to get, to meet up that team's jersey over there. So, I thought that was cute. I wouldn't know what they would do this time. So,
was there any other cool moments that you know of in the other cities that stood out to you?
Yes. The one big one is our friend Jundi got the GoPro, and I was so happy. I believe I was already home. I had just gone out to dinner, and I see y'all's updates and everything, but I remember seeing a notification on my phone saying, Jundi got the GoPro, and I just let out a hell yes, man. This is awesome. So I'm so happy that someone I knew was so lucky enough and he got the GoPro. I wasn't there, but I sure felt like I was there because I could feel the love and everything. I was so happy.
Should have swung by.
I know, but I was already on the plane. So the joke was I was on my plane back to Houston, and everybody was like, yeah, just come to New York, just jump off the plane and go to New York. I'm like, oh, I can't do that. Yeah, just go to Toronto. I'm like, oh man. I had already resigned myself to be like, okay, 2 cities and be done. But I was so happy for you guys. I was so happy that y'all had an awesome time, an awesome memory, and y'all shared it with us. I don't do this. I don't look up the videos on YouTube. I don't really look at the concerts anymore because I was like, hey, I was there. I don't need to relive it. I have my own memories. But I was like looking for that specific moment. I was looking for you guys. I was like, there you are. There y'all are. And here it is. And oh man, I was so happy for y'all. Plus they gave y'all the recognition. Y'all went to every stop and made friends at every stop. And it was fun, man. It was fun.
Any other moments that stood out to you during this tour?
Oh, in Boston, we were supposed to go to our restaurant, the Soju-ba, but we saw the van. I think me and Brittany and Brandon, we were walking way ahead, and we're like, hey, there's the van with the staff. Let's hang out here. And we see you guys. We're like, hey, we're going to hang out here for a while. I don't remember. I think we hung out for like 30, 40 minutes, and they backed the van into the building, and you guys said you saw them, but I couldn't see them at all. You know, I was like, okay, I'm just going to assume we saw them and got to wave to them goodbye. And I was like, I don't ever do those type of things. So it was cool that I got to do a nice little send off with you guys, because I never do that. I'm like, okay, show's over. The plan was to go to the restaurant and celebrate an awesome concert. And I was like, oh, that's great. I loved our after concert shenanigans. In Irving, we went to a noraebang, and we had a lot of food and a lot of drinks, a lot of karaoke. It has been a while that I've sung my heart out at noraebang, you know. It felt so good, you know, being with all our fellow STAYC fans and everything. I was like, oh man, this is amazing. I don't know how I've never seen you drunk. I don't know how you don't get drunk, and everybody else is like, oh my God, this man is like a camel when it comes to like soju. And I've never seen him drunk ever before. So I don't know how that works out.
I just have a very high tolerance.
Obviously. But but for me, I always thought I had a pretty good tolerance. And I'm like, oh man, I've never seen Ellis. You know, I've never seen you drunk. So it's awesome. That was in Irving. In Boston, we went to the soju bar that was there. I remember we sat right down, and I think NMIX Spinning on It was on the speakers, and we just all started belting it out. We're all singing at the top of our lungs. I was like, man, I love this. I love being with a group of people that is open to eating and drinking and having fun and making friends. You know, I made friends with so many people the last 2 days, those last two stops. So loved it. Oh yes, other cool things. I know during the ASAP chorus, there's a freestyle mode where one of the members will do their own little dance to the second part of ASAP, and the members have to copy it. And there were all the memes of like Sumin doing her part and none of the members copying, and it was funny. Or Isa doing a very risque dance and the shock of the other girls trying to copy. That was great. In Boston, they inverted basically. So it was Yoon's turn to do the freestyle, and instead of doing it the normal way, they basically mirrored and they did it the opposite direction. And it's so strange for them to do the opposite direction that Isa was like, I messed. This is the worst ASAP dance I've ever done because I can't do it in the opposite direction. And I remember watching the video over and over, and it's like, yeah, that really throws them off. It was great. The big one that was kind of trending in a lot of places, where I don't remember which show, but there was a funny moment where they were trying to get her to do, I guess, a sexy part of the dance, and you had to turn around, and she was like, oh my ass. And then everybody was laughing, and she meant to say, you know, oh my booty, you know. Even my friends that aren't big STAYC fans were sending me that video, and they were like, were you at this one? I was like, nah, I wasn't at that one, but it was hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, that's like one of the clips that was going everywhere, viral on TikTok, as far as I know. So I believe we've discussed pretty much everything about this concert and pretty complete coverage and review of the tour and that stop in Irving and even the stop in Boston. Do you have any final thoughts about this tour in general?
Oh man, I knew my last stop was gonna be Boston. So when the show ended, I was like, oh man, this is it. My post-concert depression hit like right away. I was like, damn it. This is it. This is the last time I'm going to see STAYC. And I see you guys on the opposite side going nuts, going crazy. Because like, that was an awesome show. That was great. I'm over here like on the opposite end, sitting on my chair. I'm like, saying goodbye to everybody. I'm like, all right, this is gonna be it, because I have to go back to Boston and do my family stuff, and then got to go back home. And I'm like, oh man, it was such a good tour. That's the one thing that I'll tell people about STAYC is like, seeing them live is just so much fun. I can't relive. I can relive a little bit of Irving through the videos, and I can relive a little bit of Boston through the videos, but I will tell you, it's not the same as talking to your friends that were there. I could talk to you about, the shows that we've gone to and how fun they were. We could talk to our buddies that had even better times, and how we can empathize with them and how we're happy that they had such a great time. I tell people all the time, you got to go watch them at least once. You love this song, go see them, have some fun. There's something about STAYC, man. Something about STAYC where I have a good time. And it's not only the girls, they are a big part of it, but it's also the guys as well. My friends that go to see STAYC, the ones that I've only seen a few times, and the ones that I met and became instant friends with. Man, I got called Kuya like so many times by new people this tour. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. But for me, I've always had a great time with STAYC. There's never been a bad time with them. There's never been a bad time with my buddies going to see STAYC. And that's like half the fun, is seeing you guys again and seeing STAYC again.
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot, especially during this tour. And, I've had a lot of time to think about it, right? The 10 stops. And I think the one word that can summarize a STAYC concert or a STAYC performance, in my opinion, is the word addictive. They're very addictive to watch, because when you see them and you see their performance, I feel like once is not enough. I think a lot of people feel that same way. And I think that's the reason, at least for me, they became my alt K-pop group. Because that's what I felt 3 years ago in Chicago. May 2022, I saw them in Chicago, and it wasn't enough. That performance wasn't enough. So I went to see them again in KCON LA, and that performance wasn't enough. I went to multiple stops during the KCON tour, and that wasn't enough. So I had to go see them at every stop on the Teen Fresh tour. And like that was just enough, but it still wasn't enough. So I went to Singapore to see them. And I think that word addictive, it really summarizes how I feel about STAYC's performances. And what you're telling me about how your experience has been with STAYC, I feel that you may feel that same way. And I feel that a lot of people feel that same way.
Yeah, I mean, there was no doubt that I may have thought about going to Toronto, but I just couldn't make it happen. But if I could have, I would have. I would have gone, for one more hit, for one more show. Not only because of STAYC and that I love their songs and I love the girls and everything, but the people that we've kind of forged a bond with as far as STAYC goes. That's an extra. I wouldn't say it's an extra, but it is also a defining factor. I'm like, dude, I met so many cool people on the STAYC. Every time I go see STAYC, why wouldn't I go see them again? And if they come back, of course I'm gonna go. I mean, no doubt.
We started off this show introducing ourselves. Obviously, I'm a big STAYC fan, and I'm a big SWITH. They're my old group. And I kind of introduced you as more of a casual fan. That you know what, you actually are a little bit more than a casual fan. You're a step above a casual fan. But after seeing STAYC again twice this tour, how have things changed for you as a fan of STAYC? And would you consider yourself a SWITH now?
I would hope that I was always a SWITH. I was following them without really following them, They were like my pandemic group for a while, and I was always keeping tabs with them. And it wasn't until I got to the shows where I'm like, all right, I'm in. In my group of K-pop friends that are local, I think I'm considered the STAYC expert, even though I know in my heart I would go to you or some of the other guys for any STAYC, info or anything like that. But I think I've been designated, the STAYC guy in my core friends. So yeah, I think I'm a SWITH, I hope I was considered a SWIFT before, but man, I think I got the credentials now, right?
I think so. You're definitely not a switch.
Nah.
All right, we did it, Alan. We talked about the tour.
Man.
Thanks for spending quite a bit of time with me talking
evening.
About it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
So we'll be signing off now. Once again, this has been Selective Hearing Radio. I've been your guest host for this episode, Ellis Tan, aka King. Joining me has been Allen, aka Kakao Ray. We want to thank LiveNation as well as Kakao and High Up Entertainment, as well as our group STAYC, our girl STAYC, for the review ticket, getting Allen entry into the show for Irving. You have any final words?
Yes, thank you very much to LiveNation, Kakao, High Up, and STAYC for the review ticket. You created memories again for me, and it's something that I will never forget as a K-pop fan. Thank you very much.
We'll see you on the next one.
This has been a Selective Hearing production. Please visit selective-hearing.com to download past podcast episodes.